When Facebook begins selling stock this week, several people who own parts of the company are due to become billionaires. And one of them is getting a bit of flack because he's giving up his U.S. citizenship before Facebook goes public. As Bill Whitaker reports, that move will save him a fortune in taxes.
You might recall Eduardo Saverin as the guy we all felt sorry for in The Social Network. As the movie tells it, Saverin was Facebook's fall guy, losing millions because of the cold-hearted corporate machinations of mastermind Mark Zuckerberg.
You set me up. You're gonna blame me because you were the business head of the company and you made a bad business deal with your own company? It's gonna be like I'm not a part of Facebook.
But it's a good bet few are feeling sorry for the 30-year-old Saverin today. The Brazilian-born entrepreneur, who many say owes his good fortune to his very American Harvard education and California-fueled internet boom, has renounced his U.S. citizenship, allegedly to avoid paying millions to Uncle Sam when Facebook goes public.
The openness of our economy, the willingness to encourage, incubate startup businesses made Facebook worth what it is today and made him the extraordinarily wealthy man that he is today.
The news sparked outrage across the social network. Billionaire businessman Mark Cuban tweeted, "This me off." Journalist James Fallows tweets, "New candidate for most unlikable Facebook founder." Saverin is being hailed in some quarters for drawing attention to high taxes. He plans to continue living the high life in Singapore, where there are no capital gains taxes.
For Eduardo Saverin to expatriate struck me as perfectly lawful and at the same time profoundly ungrateful.
Despite what critics call his unpatriotic expatriation, Saverin's actions will likely have little effect on Facebook's future. Founder Mark Zuckerberg has been making the rounds of investment houses, and his company's initial public offering later this month is expected to be a blockbuster. For CBS This Morning, Bill Whitaker in Los Angeles.
Journalist David Kirkpatrick covers the tech industry. He's the author of The Facebook Effect. Welcome.
Hey, Charlie. Thanks.
What do you make of this? There's a guy renouncing citizenship so he can take advantage of taxes.
Well, you know, Eduardo Saverin has an outsized reputation that, frankly, he doesn't even really deserve because he wasn't really a founder of Facebook. He was a lucky guy whose friend founded Facebook, and he briefly affiliated himself with Facebook, you might say. But the movie made him famous. It didn't portray him very kindly, I have to admit. But, you know, he was never a believer in Facebook. And as I've said, I don't think he's a big believer in the United States. I think this is...
He's a believer in money, obviously.
He's kind of an opportunist by definition. That's sort of the kind of guy he is. I mean, it's funny because the Facebook co-founders, the other guys, really liked him at the time. But I think he's really shown that it was all about the money for him from the beginning. He never really understood what Facebook was. That's why he's not there today.
And so if he wants to renounce his citizenship, it's his money, go to it.
Well, I think it shows that his priorities are rather selfish. And you might argue that's what caused the problems at the company, too.
So what's the rub for people? Because some people, there's this outrage among some people that, oh, he's renouncing his U.S. citizenship, and how callous is that? And then also the fact that it could be, although his representatives have said it's not, that it could be for tax purposes. I mean, because if you look at it in some ways, the American dream of business is you go find it wherever you can.
Yeah, but you know, the ethos of the modern-day Silicon Valley is much more positive than that. And he does not partake of that positive ethos, would be my point of view. Mark Zuckerberg is not doing it for the money at all. The money is a side effect that he loves. This is true of Bill Gates as well, even back in my generation.
Steve Jobs as well.
Steve Jobs, too. I mean, these are people that want to transform the world for the better. And Saverin is not like that.
So he got lucky. Let me go to the story of Yahoo and the resignation there. What do you make of that?
It's a sad story. I mean, boy, what a mess that the CEO misstated things on his resume, and then the woman who recruited him on the board misstated her resume and had to quit. I mean, it's a tawdry tale, and it reminds me quite a bit of what's happened at HP in the last year or so, unfortunately.
Okay, Yahoo. Originally, Microsoft wanted to buy it. There was a denial on the part of some of the founders of Yahoo.
Right. $44 billion they offered for. Check that this morning. Microsoft offered $44 billion for Yahoo 4 years ago. And now it's worth $18 billion.
And they turned it down.
Ever since then, the company's been in trouble.
How valuable is it today?
Well, it's worth $18 billion in the market, but I think it's still hugely valuable as a company, as a media company. It is still, in a lot of ways, the dominant digital media company of the planet.
And who would it be most valuable to?
Well, I think it could still be valuable to them if it was well run, and I think Ross Levinson, who's interim CEO, is a great guy to run it. Microsoft would probably still love to own it. It could be valuable to any major media company because it is truly digital, and every media company is trying to turn themselves into a completely digital company because that's the way everything is going. So Yahoo has still a marvelous position. I think it's been poorly managed in recent years.
David, nice to see you this morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good to be here, Erica.